a guan?
What's a guan?
That's a guan, pa.
What a guan? What a guan?
What a guan? Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 8 a.m., 1:30 p.m., and 10 p.m. on CVM TV.
That's a guan, pa. What a guan?
So when I wake up in the morning, I say a word of prayer. Tap, 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 tap. Yo, this is yours truly, The Image, and I'm representing for CVM. See it happen. You hear that? CVM what? See it happen. Listen, keep it locked.
Baby burgers, 3 for the money, brand new thing. Whole a box of baby burgers, roll up a Burger King, baby burgers. Wow, the taste, the time on BK Baby Burgers is
12 p.m.
Thanks for joining us for CVM News at Noon. It's Monday, August 10, 2026. I'm Nika Lewis. Detectives attached to the Frome police station in Westmoreland say criminal charges have now been laid against a woman who used a machete to inflict chop wounds to the face of her ex-boyfriend during a dispute at her home in the Frome area on Saturday, July 7. The woman has been identified as 44-year-old Tanisha Thompson of Townhead, Burnt Savannah District. And reports are that at about 2 a.m., Thompson informed her ex-boyfriend to come to her house to pick up some money that she had owed him. On reaching the house, it's alleged that an argument developed between the two, and Thompson reportedly used the machete to inflict chop wounds to her ex-boyfriend's face and upper body. The wounded man reportedly ran from the scene and managed to drive himself to the Savlamar Hospital, where he was treated and admitted. A report was made to the police, and following an investigation, Thompson was arrested and taken into custody, where she was subsequently charged at the weekend. Police have now laid charges in the shooting death of U.S.-based actor Brian Todd Anthony Boucher. The suspect, Andre Dixon, was charged Sunday by detectives attached to the Portmore Criminal Investigations Branch for Boucher's killing. Dixon was arrested Thursday night in connection with the killing of the 43-year-old Boucher, also known as Ras Ajay, who was gunned down in Waterford, St. Catherine. Investigators say Boucher was standing along the Kendall Main Road with a group of people when a gunman opened fire, hitting him and another man. Boucher later succumbed to his injuries while the other victim was treated in hospital. Police say Dixon remains in custody and is expected to appear in court in the coming days. Now, CVM understands that Dixon was reportedly on bail for firearm-related offenses at the time of Boucher's killing. 4 police officers attached to the Manchester Police Division are now hospitalized following an early morning crash in Clarendon. Reports indicate that about 5 a.m., the officers were on patrol when the service unit they were traveling in veered off the 9 Miles Main Road in Spalding and overturned into a yard below the roadway. The officers were able to walk away from the mangled vehicle and were taken to hospital for treatment. The crash also caused damage to a nearby house, but no occupants were injured. The incident comes just weeks after another service vehicle crash in the Manchester Division left a policeman with a broken leg. A protest is underway in Central Village, St. Catherine, with demonstrators taking to the streets dressed in black. The protesters have been attempting to block the roadway, causing disruption to the traffic in the area. The reason for the demonstration has not yet been ascertained, but the protesters appeared intent on drawing attention to their concerns. Motorists are being urged to exercise caution when traveling through the area and to be prepared for possible delays. Now, the news now, residents in and around Hopewell, Hanover are demanding urgent action to clean up the community cemetery. The facility has been in a deplorable condition for some time, with dense vegetation making sections of the cemetery almost impossible. The overgrown areas have also raised serious safety concerns, with a thick bush creating cover for criminal elements. In addition, wild pigs, goats and dogs roam the property, while some areas have become dumping sites for garbage. The conditions are also making it difficult for families to locate the graves of loved ones, with some people now afraid to visit sections of the cemetery. Residents are therefore appealing to their councillor Lennox Frey, MP Andrea Perkis and the Hanover Municipal Corporation to take immediate action to restore the cemetery. Minister of Water Matthew Samuda says the government will update the nation on water prohibition orders in response to the worsening drought conditions. The Water Minister says a meeting will be held on Monday with the National Water Commission (NWC) to assess the situation and to determine the way forward. In the meantime, the NWC has implemented water rationing measures in several communities as part of its ongoing water conservation efforts. Chief Executive Officer of the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, Ambassador Anthony Anderson, is heading to Peru this week to examine the country's internationally recognized reconstruction program. This as Jamaica ramps up its own resilience rebuilding efforts. Ambassador Anderson will travel from August 9 to 13, meeting technical experts and touring major project sites, including hospitals, schools and health facilities, to gain first-hand insights into Peru's rebuilding model following the devastating El Niño Costero floods of 2017. And the visit is facilitated by the UK government, which partnered with Peru through a government-to-government reconstruction program. That partnership prioritized local capacity building alongside infrastructure delivery, lessons Jamaica hopes to adapt as NARA mobilizes its own projects.
Part of our strategy. NARA belongs to all Jamaicans, and it's important that they're engaged every step of the way.
There's a picture.
We have to bring the communities and their stakeholders along with us as we implement these massive projects.
It's Anderson's first official trip to Peru since assuming leadership of NARA and builds on an earlier UK-facilitated engagement led by Minister Robert Morgan in March. The CEO says community mobilization and stakeholder engagement will be central to Jamaica's approach.
We want to ensure that during the project implementation phase, NARA is able to expand local capacity and train a number of our local engineers and project managers to deliver major projects at scale. News
overseas. Typhoon Dolphin has made landfall in China's eastern coast with 150 kilometers per hour winds, triggering widespread flooding and damage. More than 1 million people have been evacuated from vulnerable areas in Shanghai, cancelling flights, shutting businesses and inundating streets. We hear more from Al Jazeera.
Typhoon Dolphin made landfall on China's eastern coast on Sunday, tipping over a truck with the force of its 150 km/h winds. In Zhejiang province, powerful gales peeled an iron roof off its building, toppled fences and uprooted trees. Authorities had prepared for days. More than 1 million people have been moved away from vulnerable areas. Boats and ships were called back to port. Businesses and tourist sites closed. The impact was also felt further north in Shanghai, a city of 25 million. People were ordered to work from home as heavy rain flooded streets and disrupted transport.
I've been living in Shanghai for 10 years, and this is the first time I feel that the typhoon brought so much inconvenience and such floods.
Authorities cancelled hundreds of flights, stranding thousands of travelers. Dolphin is weakening as it moves inland and has been downgraded to a tropical storm. But that doesn't mean the danger is over. Authorities in Jiangxi and Hubei province warn of possible landslides and flash flooding. Emergency teams across the region remain on high alert.
With that, we take a break. Stay with us. More after these.
Get ready for school with Chris and Charles. From July 9 to August 31, enjoy a low interest rate on loans of $1.5 and $2 million. Plus, get 25% off the processing fee on loans of $1 million Jamaican dollars and above. You could also qualify for one of 50 Ready for School grants worth 60,000 Jamaican dollars each. Visit your nearest Chris and Charles branch or www.chrisandcharles.com for details. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Thanks so much for staying with us. The Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, is facing questions about its internal affairs following the emergence of leaked emails, which have sparked a wider debate about the court, its judges, and the issue of judicial independence. The controversy comes at a particularly significant time for Jamaica, where the question of whether the country should replace the United Kingdom's Privy Council with the Caribbean Court of Justice as its final appellate court remains an important part of the constitutional reform conversation. Well, to discuss the legal and constitutional implications, we are joined by MP and former Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort, herself a former judge. Minister, thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the viewers and listeners. Marlene Malahoo Fort.
So let me begin with the most fundamental question, because from a judicial perspective, how seriously should the public regard what has emerged in these leaked emails?
Well, let us begin with the leak of internal emails among judges. I think that is a poor exercise of judgment for someone to have leaked those emails. All institutions will have internal disagreements. Issues will be hotly debated, differences in perspectives, but particularly among highly trained professionals. So I don't know who would have thought anyone could come out winning with having emails leaked to the press with the kind of sensitive issues that have been reported on. I find it most unfortunate, and I think it does nothing for those who are looking on, and still assessing the court. I think it has also eroded some of the hard-won confidence of the court that has been built up over the years.
And so, in terms of the public regard, you're looking at the fact that trust is eroded and there is no winning in this situation for anyone. But what does the content of these communications potentially say about this judicial independence and the integrity of the CCJ?
I think in the practice of law, there is always a competition for better views to prevail. So it is not unexpected that a judge or a counsel will want to persuade colleagues to their point of view. I see that has been characterized in a particular way. I will reserve my own judgment on that because I do know that if there is nothing abnormal or inappropriate, as it were, to try to persuade another judge as to a better view. We have only heard an aspect of the allegation made. I don't know. But to have that aired in public in the way that it has been aired, again, I believe is most unfortunate.
Has it ever happened in this way before? to your knowledge?
Not to the best of my knowledge, but I do know that in the same way that counsel would go to court, and sometimes, I mean, cases are close, issues are near, the divide is small, and counsel will try to persuade the bench to their perspective. I think the same will happen in judicial deliberations among judges as they have listened to submissions and they are coming to their decision. I don't know, but it is really unfortunate that these matters that are so sensitive, bear in mind that not everyone has the maturity, the understanding, the knowledge and training to assess these issues in the way you and I would as trained attorneys at law. So members of the public are looking on. Here in Jamaica, the issue of which final court has been hotly debated. And we know that the Jamaica Labour Party's position is that this is a matter ultimately that the people should have their say in. Whereas there is no requirement for a constitutional referendum on the matter, we will still have to amend the Constitution invoking that referendum provision in order to protect the court, because Section 49 of the Constitution would be affected. So even in an indicative referendum for people to say, what is my preference?
Yes.
Should we retain appeals to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council? Should we establish our own final court? Or should we accede to the appellate jurisdiction of the court? The members of the public are looking on, and I don't think that the leaked email and putting in the public sphere those sensitive issues will assist in the cause at all. Already you would have seen many expressions of views on the matter. And people will get emotive about these things. Really unfortunate, I find. Bad timing, nothing to be gained in having this leak done.
So, but we know the courts depend heavily, as you just mentioned, on public confidence. So can a controversy of this nature not undermine that confidence in the CCJ? I believe you so aptly put it just now, but even if the emails ultimately do not establish any wrongdoing.
I'm coming back. My initial concern is that there are sensitive issues to be discussed and resolved among colleagues. There is nothing wrong with that. All institutions will have differences in perspectives. So if anyone is to believe that an institution is without issues, then of course that's not a mature perspective. But to have them placed in the public sphere because someone is upset. After all, temperaments is supposed to be one of the attributes of a judge.
Absolutely.
And so you can't allow yourself to be so upset that you can't hold steadily and keep confidential what ought to be kept confidential.
You have served both as a judge and as minister responsible for constitutional affairs, Mrs. Malahoo Fort. What standards of conduct and communication, therefore, should the public expect from judges of a final court?
On this matter, I believe that it is something that should be dealt with internally before it spills out into the public sphere. And you have to always exercise care in what you put out. You know, as a student of public policy, there is something that we are taught early, that not everything that the public is interested in is in the public interest to know. And so you always have to weigh what you put out, the timing of what you put out, how it is going to be managed. In an age where information goes viral at the click, you know, so for me, it's disappointing, and it does nothing to help the cause of the court or the judges that are involved.
Mrs. Malahoo Fort, do you therefore believe that the CCJ at this point owes the region a fulsome explanation based on what has happened?
I have seen something sent out by the court committing to judicial independence and integrity in defense of the court's independence and impartiality. And while I understand that is a necessary response, I still find it unfortunate. I do believe that the matter will be taken up in other places because the court in its original jurisdiction is a court for practically all members of the Caribbean community. So it's the only court that is authorized to interpret the provisions of the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. And in that jurisdiction, it's a lot of trade issues. I mean, big issues that impact the economy.
So based on what you have said, do you not therefore see the need for the CCJ to offer therefore a fulsome explanation to the people of the region that they've served?
I will reserve judgment on how the court deals with this matter, but just to say to the court that what has been put out so far is not looking good. And certainly those of us who are looking on and continuing to weigh the court and assess, it does not sit well with us. It doesn't sit well with me.
Understood. Thank you so much. That was MP and former, I have an opportunity